Hello everyone, Luke here, and yeah, party jams. I was right. You said in the comments that you didn't think that there was going to be a battle between Mozu, and I said, well, we still need to see Nanano's true spring blooming, and well, here we are with this chapter. So yeah, I'm going to do my little called it dance, because why else wouldn't we have gotten a battle? We got a battle for Shinzo, Shion, and Kango. We got a battle for everyone, so why wouldn't Nanano get a battle? Like a single battle. Like this happened when we had the Tampopo arc, and now it's happening again at the end of the series. So yeah, I'm just gonna do it. Like called it. So yeah, that's all I'm gonna say on that front. Let's just dive right into the chapter. Okay, so this will be chapter 241, titled Mozu and Asad. Now, yeah, even though I said that this was something that I predicted of just getting the battle between Nano and Mozu, I didn't anticipate some of the stuff that's going to happen in this chapter, as we'll soon see. So diving into the chapter proper, we have Nano going over basically what happened at the end of the last chapter. So basically doing a recap of the ending of the last chapter in this chapter, which is very reminiscent of how it happened in Bleach as well, when you have like the big cliffhanger, and then the next chapter it takes up the first few pages of that big cliffhanger as well. So yeah, going on saying like, yeah, Asa, this is going way too smoothly for all of us. So what is Asa actually plotting here? Now, we do get an answer in this chapter, but also, like I said, I feel like when we come back to Tayo after this fight, we're gonna just see him lying down on the ground, completely defeated by Asa. Not dead. I don't think we'll have the balls to even kill off the main character, but he is probably going to be like grievously injured, and maybe he'll be taken away, and everyone's like, we gotta go and rescue Tayo from somewhere. So yeah, this is probably being done to give the siblings like the big coup de grace of the series, but also because I feel like we've lost a few series from Shonen Jump. Is the editors being like, yeah, we kind of want you to just extend it a little bit further, so that we've got something to tie us over before we get the next batch coming in. I feel like that's what's happening here, which is why we're getting all these fights. Now, granted, they're not as long as I thought they were going to be, but at the same time, I could definitely see them coming back to Asa defeating Tayo and being like, okay, yeah, we're taking Tayo away from here, you've got to come in, if you want him, you got to come and get him. So as we continue on, we have Mozu saying like, oh, come on, I'm not planning anything here. If you went through all the trouble to connect us, if you want to know that badly, force yourself way in and just see for yourself what is actually going on here. I know the workings of your body too damn well, so the tricks and traps, they won't work on me now. No, we've worked so closely together. I know you know me, so we know everything about each other. So yeah, you cannot trick me in any way here. And what do you say we just drop this pointless little scuffle between us? Yeah, not so much a battle, so much as a scuffle that's going on to kind of interrogate Mozu and get information out of her. But she goes on and says like, I don't give a damn about what Asa is planning, what his plan is for you guys, or what the future of the Yozakura family is. It's all about me just taking my time to research everything, and I'm going to be on the winning side at the end of the day. But what Asa gets up to seems a little bit sketchy, but your family's got a plan to stop him, right? So why do you even care what I have here? So let's just go back to the way things were. But of course, Nano knows like, yeah, things are not going to go back to the way they were, because unlike with Koricho and Kai, I do feel like Mozu has like completely betrayed the Yozakuras, like more so than Kai has actually done. And this is further evident when Mozu just grabs her body, just starts okay, yeah. I'm not gonna say anything, but yeah, she grabs her body and does something with it. Like, I'm trying to say it without like being like, oh, that's a bit like, but no, she grabs her body and this black fishy substance just oozes around her. As we see the piece of Asa's eye the piece of Asa's heart in Mozu's chest. Now, this throws a complete wrench in the structure that I don't think anyone saw coming. Like, when I saw this panel for the first time, I was like, what? What? But then as you've realised, like, wait, Mozu's a scientist, so yeah, this makes perfect sense how she was able to just take this part from Mitsu and just like put it in herself here. And even now I was just like baffled, like, okay, this is something that I was not expecting. Before Mozu says, like, why do I have it, you wonder? Like, basically asking the questions that we all have. It's like, wait, why do you have the part of Asa's heart? How did you get it from Mitsu into you? That's something I think everyone would want to know. And Moses just like, oh, come on, it shouldn't take you long to piece it together because I've been in cahoots with Asa all this time. So Division is so I know about the bloomings here, and Division is a quirky little blooming, and it doesn't affect well on its own. But by crafting fibers from Tsubumi's heart onto the hearts of some replicas, we recreate. So basically, Mozu was kind of like the surgeon, just be like, okay, I'm gonna experiment on Tsubumi here, take the piece of art, and it's like, oh, okay, we can recreate this deficient blooming here, and by doing that, I can even extract samples from all the clone family members of Asa, and basically be able to get the abilities of the bloomings into myself. Like, I could, it's basically Mozu is basically like the Mayuri of Mission Yozakura family. Hey, speaking of which, Bleach, Fuzzy Blood War Core 3, only 3 weeks away. Looking forward to that. So yeah, anyway, like I said, Mozu basically like Mayuri from Bleach. She goes on and says, they're fascinating samples. I'd be a waste to let them get destroyed too quickly. So I bide my time and wait for the chance, the perfect opportunity to grab Mitsu with my jelly. Like, what is that substance that that Mozu has and that Nanano has? Like, jelly, liquid substance. But bottom line is, she's able to encase Mitsu and just be like, hey, that's a nice piece of little heart there. Mind if I have it for myself here? And Nano says, like, oh, you stole the piece implanted in the last sibling. And Mozu's just like, yes, I did. This heart is like a mobile extension. It connected to the base units of Asa's heart by threads of Simonian, but those can be disconnected. You get to get rid of Asa like you planned, while I get the fascinating sample that I always wanted. It's a win-win situation. So you get rid of Asa, I get the sample. Hey, there's nothing wrong. With that. So let's say we just treat it like the good old days. And as Mozu is going on with her monologue here, now she's like, yeah, I'm not having any of this. And launches his hand, goes to punch Mozu, and you see just this panel of just Mozu's eyes just being like, oh, really? Couldn't really get through to you, Nano. Well, I guess we have no choice here but to fight. So as Nano goes to punch at Mozu, Mozu's just like, oh, that's a fascinating punch there, Nano. But too bad, I can block that. So as Nano goes to punch at Mozu does this, and it's just basically like blocking the attack here. As Nano says, like, yeah, I know you're not exactly telling the truth here, Mozu. You're always talking about those fascinating samples, but while that is kind of like the truth, it's not exactly what you're really after. I know it. You know it. We all know it because he is an enigma in our family. So we'll just cut to the chase. You want Tile, don't you? And it's him and his powers are what you are most fascinated in. And we do get a cut to Tile here. Now, we don't necessarily see what is actually going on here. Like, he's standing with his true spring bloom is still activated, but I reckon at this point it's going to be like, oh, he's about to go down. Like, this little panel with here, Tile just being like, yeah, I feel like he's going to be done when we cut back to Asa. Now, a lot of people might be a little bit disappointed with that we don't get like Asa versus Tile round 1 completely on screen, but I think it's for the best because it's just going to bog down the story, and the main spectacle is probably going to be Asa versus everyone. That if the final battle of the series wasn't Asa versus the entire Yozakura family, I feel like I'll be a little bit disappointed because Asa's plan has affected all of them. It's not just Tayo, not just Koricho, not just Mutsumi, it's all of them that have been affected by Asa. So all of them need to like go at it full force, just giving everything they've got at Asa as like payback for what he's done to their family, what he's done to their mother, what he's done to their ancestor, what he's done to their father, just everyone. And even Ban and his wife need to get in on this action as well. Like, yeah, that begs the question of like, I mean, we know they're in hiding, but Ban needs to come back into the story at some point. Maybe he has a true spring blooming. Hey, you never know. But anyway, besides the point, Mozu says like Mozu basically doesn't deny this. Like, in fact, she smiles like, "Yep, you figured it out here. He's the prime reason I split off from you. When I went through the research materials you and Asa had on our family, I couldn't find anything on Tayo, so he was a fascinating subject here. The material scrubbed so clean of any mention of him, it was unnatural. A normal person, repeatedly exposed to the Yozakura powers, he managed to adapt his body, evolve in any way. There is no way you wouldn't be interested in something like that. Like, he's just a normal person and his body is just adapted so well to the powers. Like, why wouldn't anyone be interested in this? And yeah, Mozu makes a very good point there, so I can understand her reasoning for why she wouldn't go for Tayo especially. So Naruto says like, oh, you're hiding something about him. Yeah, you have obviously got some dirt on Tayo, so what exactly are you guys planning with him? And Mozu, basically, this is the point where she starts denying this. Like, yeah, I don't really know what you're going on about here. So, yeah, I guess I'm just going to have to morph my body here. As you see this, like, amalgamation of just, like, this Goliath, H.R. Geiger looking monster thing just shoot from the... Is it from the right side of Mozu's bot? Wait, is it? No, it's the left side. It's the left side. Sorry, dyslexia, dyspraxia, whatever. So yeah, it's from the left side. Yeah, the left side of Mozu's body just like erupts into this like H.R. Geiger-esque creature. And like, don't know how to describe it. Like a demon monster with multiple mouths. Like, what is that thing? Like, how would you describe it? Anyway, Mozu shoots it directly at Nanano as she's like, oh, your immune system and blood clotting system aren't working, are they? Because they're all nano cells. Remember that experiment we did to combine our protein cells, the nano Mozu cells? It replicated your blooming, but in a more controlled state. That let you get the handle on your spontaneous transformations, keeping them from not being quite dangerous. So it's nice that we actually get an explanation of like how Nano's being able to like get his like monstrous transformations under control, so like he can go into it and out of it whenever he wants. So it's nice that we've actually got that little bit of information that was like, yeah, how is he able to control it? Is it just like at random intervals it can't go out of control? But now we have the explanation of like, yes, we've been able to control it by having his blooming be replicated and be like, okay, how can we get this under control? So it's nice that we actually have that, but even more nice is what Mozu is actually going to explain in a little while. So continuing on, Mozu says, oh, Subui's power grifted into this heart with fibers from hers. I've strengthened it. Now I can adapt, basically referencing Nano's blooming here in any way I want. It's your blooming, you know that better than anyone. So I do like I said, I do like this, because whenever you get a power system introduced in any manga, you wonder like, how is this going to be adapted? Hey, pun very much intended there, but how is it going to be like? Showcase throughout the series? Like, are other characters outside of the main group gonna have it? Is it only gonna be exclusive to the main group? And I feel like if you exclusively give it to the main group, you kind of limit yourself, like especially in Mission Yozakura, because if it was just like the Yozakura families themselves with just the blooming ability, it would have gone pretty stale very, very quickly. So it's nice that we got like variations on it. So we got like the Tampopo extension, we got the True Spring Blooming, which is like the upgraded version, we got the Blight, which is all Asa's family. So I like that we got all these very different variations on the blooming. So it wasn't just like, okay, this is exclusive to the Yozakuras and no one else can have it. I mean, obviously they're not going to be as powerful as the Yozakuras, but at the same time, it's nice to know that it's been spread out evenly throughout all the various groups, from the villains to other side characters to antagonists that become allies. So it is nice that we've actually got that, and here is no exception. Like basically Mozu essentially copying the blooming of Nanano and making it her own in her own variation, as we see the heart become like the blooming symbol, and all the other mouths around her, like from this HR Geiger creature, becoming the blooming symbol, and even her eyes, like her eyes get the blooming symbol as well. So essentially, Mozu has a blooming now, even though it's Nanano's, it's still technically a blooming that she is using. So yeah, I do like that, and this is where Mozu just goes all on the attack with Nanano, as I can imagine in the anime, if it ever gets to the final arc, like just as Mozu's doing all these attacks, she's speaking now and just speaking incredibly psychotic. Like, what voice would Mozu have? Like, that begs the question, like, would it be like incredibly psychotic like the Joker, or maybe a Harley Quinn style voice? Like, hey, leave some suggestions about what voice Mozu might have in the anime. But yeah, she goes on and says, "Oh, you are now you are now, thanks to the advancements in science." That's a tongue twister if I've ever saw one. You are now. Try and say that 5 times fast. You are. See, like. Seriously, anyone try to say that 5 times first. But anyway, continuing on, she goes on and says, "Are you going to complain about it now, despite soaking it in, soaking it in its benefacts up to your neck? You've got way too much brain power. Don't waste it on that." And she says, "Let the ignorant masses entertain themselves with thoughtless criticisms and meaningless debate." So basically it's just like, yeah, let everyone else sort out their own planks. Let's just go back to the way it was, experimenting, doing research, getting our own test subjects, modifying your blooming so that it can be bigger and better than ever before. Because as she states here that she actually likes Nano's blooming. So let's work together for new eye and aim for new eyes, just like your blooming does. As Nano says, like, yeah, it seems like we have fundamental differences here in ethics and objectives. So while you want to go out experimenting and doing research, I'm here to protect my family. I'm here to basically get rid of this viper that is Asa, and you are one standing in my way here, Mozu. So I don't need to belittle your work or the debt of gratitude that I owe you, because Nano does owe a debt of gratitude to Mozu for what she's done for him. But at the same time, yeah, she's now an enemy, and Nano needs to take it down like any other enemy any other enemy that he would do for any other mission. As he says, "But the resources are something I want to use for my family, not for personal." Not for basically personal gain. That's basically where their differences lie. Mozu wants it for personal gain. Nano wants it to be like, hey, this will benefit my family. And it's your little presentation finished, because it's now my turn, Mozu. As we see Nano develop, I guess, needle claw things, which he's going to use to dispose of the heart. But first, a criticism rebuttal to your presentation, Mozu. You want to argue? Fine, let's argue. What say we quit aiming for new heights? Instead, let's fall together. Basically, have a dance like Darby and Endeavour did in My Hero Academia, which, speaking of which, I made that reference completely deliberately, because we are now going to see Nanano's true spring blooming, as he says, "Now for my presentation, my topic is regression, which I assume that's the name for its true spring blooming because we see like the flames, the true spring blooming flames engulfing all around him, and this is where the chapter ends right away, by the way. So yeah, not really much to go on this chapter. It was just basically the fight basically starting between Mozu and Nanano, and going into Nano activating True Spring Bloom, but also getting the confirmation that Mozu can use the blooming of Nanano. And it wonders, like, if Mozu got her hands on the Void blooming, like, oh my god, that would be truly scary if you really think about it. But yeah, the reason why I brought up My Hero Academia is because of regression, which I assume it's going to be similar to how Rewind happens in My Hero Academia. So whatever, because we see as well, Nano has this like bomb grenade thing with the face of what seems to be is the bucket that he normally wears on his head. But I do like how he's presented himself as kind of like a demon here, like a little gremlin, little creature that's just basically like, I'm going to tinker around with you and regress you. So I guess my theory is that, well, adapt or adaptation, like what was the bloom, because all of them have quite similar names if you really think about it. Blooming Mission Yozakura family, Mission Yozakura family. So yeah, a lot of them did have like Shinzo, Shion, no, not Shinzo, Shion, Kengo, and Nano. They all have like similar naming blooming. So let's passage, hardening, magnesium, black stone, cranial, assimilation, analyzation, adaptation. Yeah, adaptation. So that's the name of his blooming, or adapt. Yeah. So whereas adaptation basically is like, oh, okay, anything that happens to me, I can adapt to it and get workaways around it. I feel like regression is going to be like, it's got to be like connected to the regular blooming, but be like kind of like the opposite. So well, adapt can basically, well, or adaptation can adapt to any situation around it. I feel like regression like is going to like condense things back into a regress state to what they were. So kind of like if, say for example, you had your body and then it kind of like morphed, like what we saw with Mozu's body here. I feel like if Nano was able to touch Mozu's body, like that amorphous HR Geiger thing would be able to be regressed down. But also I feel like if it takes a really long time, Nano could regress Mozu's actual body itself until it's like a cellular egg and then out of existence. Sort of similar to what happened with All For One in My Hero Academia, where Rewind just kept repeating over and over again until All For One was just like this little tiny specular cell, like the cell that you get, like the cell you get when a baby is being first produced. Like you get the cell and then you get like the fetus and then the baby out. So I feel like if given enough time, Nano would be able to like probably regress Mozu into like that singular cell and then out of existence. But that's just my theory. I feel like that's probably the most logical way it's gonna go down. Like Nano will be able to regress things back into a more controlled state as he sees fit. But we'll just have to wait and see what this True Spring Blooming actually does. But yeah, so we got Nanos, and like I said, if we don't get Creatures and Fruitibus, I am going to be extremely disappointed, because you give all the other Yozakuras True Spring Bloomings. The twins, I can understand why not showing their True Spring Bloomings, but Creature and Fruitibus, you have to show them now. Now that you've shown all the other siblings, they have to be the ones that you show them. Like I said, hopefully in the final battle with Asa, but only time will tell. So anyway, guys, what did you think of this chapter? Let me know. Like, subscribe, comment, all that jazz, and this will be Lasherluke signing off. Later, guys.